Yeah, it's me and
Okay.
Frank
And
Hoffart.
Frank. Okay. And what are you sitting on in here?
On that tractor, and I'm just standing on the side of it, like, like the wheel there. And these guys were sitting on it. And of course, he was standing on top almost of it.
Is this at your farm? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another one like that with
Oh,
the three tractors.
great. So how many tractors did you have on your farm when you were growing up?
Oh, gee, I don't know. When we still were doing the harvesting, we started out still with binder and threshing machine, and later on we got a combine, but it was not self-propelled. It had to be pulled with one of these. And by that time I was about, forget how old, and the boys, a lot of them are gone. One was running the store and one was gone in the army, and so my dad said, you have to drive this tractor. And I didn't really know how to do it. So I got on, and then he was, it started up, and he never showed me, not putting in reverse, and we started going backwards. He was hollering, finally, you have to be shown the first time, and then everything went okay.
Did you ever have a time in your life where you didn't have a tractor on the farm?
No, I don't think so.
Always had one?
Yeah, they weren't the best, but
Okay.
you had this one. No,
No, I haven't
it's
seen
a
that one.
colored-in sleigh. That's where my brother used to drive me to school in the mornings when it was. And he took the corner too sharp one morning and upset that sleigh. And I just had enough time to crawl out and gather my books, and the horses took off. We could have been really hurt.
Oh my goodness. So this sleigh, would this be something that your dad had to purchase, or did he make it?
This was built, but I don't know who built it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's in this picture?
Yeah, it's me and my brother Peter, and the other one is Regina. Regina Goodberg, which is was a friend of my sister Christina.
Regina, what was her last name?
Bond.
Bond. Okay. And then you said your brother Pete?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter what order I give you these.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what order.
This is my brother John, the oldest one, my sister. You could know how they were dressed. This one is a nun. She died last year.
And what was her name?
Sister Beatrice.
Beatrice?
Right.
Okay.
And that's my brother John Frehlich.
How old do you think they are in this
Well,
picture?
this one wasn't a year old yet.
Okay.
This one was maybe a year and a half. Because
so cute.
I remember my mother saying he was so upset because she was allowed to sit in that chair, and he kept saying, I want a chair too, and said it in German,
So when you were growing up, you spoke German in your house,
Yeah,
right?
but not that much. We'd always answer our parents in English.
So when you started school, could you speak English?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did your parents know how to speak English as well?
They could, my dad taught himself. When I started school, he would take my books and keep writing over my writing so they'd learn how to write. And, and they learned all the letters. And
So did you help with the pronunciations and
well,
things like that?
a little bit, but he managed pretty good because he had that business in town, like that garage business, garage is still sitting there, but it's closed. And had a very big business selling vehicles and everything. There, that's taken on, and when we're getting ready to go to church or get married, or maybe we were married already.
So
And
it's the
just
wedding
came
day.
home.
So who's right here?
Yeah, this is Rita. She's Rita Worth now, but her name was Rita Hoffart.
W-O-R-S-T?
Yeah, no, W-O-R-T-H.
T-H.
Yeah,
And she was a Hoffart?
yeah,
Okay. And then there's Frank, right?
yeah.
Unless there's somebody different in the picture.
Yeah, had to be him. And, we had to get married in German, our vows, and it was hard to do because we didn't know those big words and repeat after me, I said we could have got that note because we didn't know what we were saying.
Were you married in the
Trapping
Lake
Church?
Church?
Mm-hmm.
And the wedding services at that time were not in English?
No, that priest we had said you have to say your vows in German. So
What year did you get married in?
46.
And what day?
17th of October. 1946, yeah. And the priest was Father Schwerers, one of the first priests in that area.
Can you spell his last name?
S-C-H-W-E-R-S.
And then who's this last person over here?
This one is Frank's sister, Sophie.
Sophie. Okay.
Well, these are just two of us before we were married.
Oh. So, how did you meet Frank?
Oh, how did we meet, Frank? Oh, we went to dances a lot, at school too. Well, my brother had a store on one side of the street and his parents lived on the other, and I used to stay at the store a lot. So when we'd get out to go to school, he would get out of the house and walk to school together.
So did you always go to the same school?
Yeah.
Were you in the same grade?
We were until how was it? When you were in grade 10, you had to go in the Army. Were you after grade 10 that you had to go in the Army?
Okay, so grade 10?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was was it called courting back then or dating?
It was just, what would you call it? Getting together, if you happen to meet accidentally or secretly planned. That's how you would.
So what was the dating life like back then for two young loves before they got married?
Well, it was usually always a group, and you would be going to a dance, say like at Broadacres or Revenue. And then, there'd be a whole bunch, and you would spend the time, at the dance. And if one of them was lucky enough to have a car, you went in the car.
How old were you when you got married?
We got married the 17th, and I turned 19 on October the 5th.
Okay. These are some really cute pictures.
This is my sister, the one when she went in for a nun.
Okay. Do you know who's standing next to her?
Her name was Sophie Halter, but I don't know any of her whereabouts no more.
And your sister was
Sister Beatrice.
Beatrice.
Mm-hmm.
This was before or right when they went into?
Yeah, that's their first year. That's how they were dressed then.
Where did she go to school, your
She
sister?
took, most of her at Frehlich because she left home when she was 13. She was the oldest and I was the youngest, so I never got to know her till later,
Okay.
And this was taken the day after, 1 or 2 days after we were married, and Frank was helping to dig my mother and dad's house across the street from where he lived, and the tractor upset and went into the... I could have been a widow the next day already.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was but nobody got hurt, and there's even one person down in the hole. Nobody got hurt.
What's your mom and dad's name?
Christina and Nelson. Here is mine. Now here, that's our family, and there's one of the girls is missing, Regina.
Okay.
Well, not the house you saw. This is all the Frehlichs and their wives.
Okay, we'll have to. That one will take some time. Let's do this one here first, real quick.
Oh,
and that way.
the Christmas one.
Yeah, so we had because we don't have anything like this yet.
Oh, yeah, I was
So-
surprised you don't.
I haven't seen any old photos of the church. We've been to the church, we filmed in the church, but we haven't.
Oh, yeah.
So this is in, is it called St. Michael's?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to tell on camera, you want to tell me a little bit about what this is?
Well, that is the crib, and it takes the Christmas crib, and it took about a week to assemble. They still have a beautiful crib, but it's not that big no more.
And it reached to the ceiling
Right
almost?
to the ceiling.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you ever help put it together?
Not really. Not me, no.
How was Christmas celebrated in the Catholic Church when you were growing up?
Oh, it was very beautiful. They had this all done, and then the little crib would be here empty, and then they had a procession, and one was chosen to carry the baby Jesus and put it in the crib, and then the Mass started, and it was all Christmas hymns. Yeah. Very nice.
Were they in German or were they in English?
Well, mostly at that time they were in German. Yeah.
Do you remember about what decade or year that the church switched language to English?
Gee, that's quite a while back. It would have to be in the early 50s, don't you think, Frank? Yeah. And then it wasn't everything, it was just a start,
Okay.
There's one on the inside of the church where we got married.
This was the day you got married?
Yeah. It's all too far away that you can't. And this is the church and the rectory from the outside. Yeah.
Is the rectory still there?
Yeah, it's there, but a guy bought it, and he does some demolishing of different buildings, you know. That's what he bought the school at Trenton Lake, and he's using it now to store a lot of his stuff in.
Okay. Did you want to go through any more of those, or?
We worked at that school 25 years.
Really? You were teachers?
No, we were the custodians.
Oh, really? Oh, you had to deal with a lot then.
Yeah, we did. Because at that time, there was a lot of students.
Well, yes, and
Yeah.
students at that age are usually not the cleanest, so.
Yeah, there was always, you used to figure, now why did we clean this all up? Look at it now.
And it didn't take very long, did it?
No, it didn't. This here is Frank's. It's like, maybe I should leave that for him, that picture.
Let's go back to the beginning and we'll show me your family, because we need to put it more
Okay.
up here. So that we'll do it right here. And then, let's see here. You said this was a family photo, right?
Except Regina was missing.
Okay, if we start in the back row.
That's Peter
Okay.
and
Okay.
Joe, Christina, John,
Okay.
Sister Beatrice, Mother and Dad.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about your mother? What type of person was she? What she was like when you
She
were growing
was
up?
a very, very nice person, always helping out at the church, doing good things, and would bring every day, she'd pack a lunch for me to take along when I went to school and drop off where the sisters lived, some food for them. And that was always my job. Every day you stop first at the sisters and take in that little lunch pail, and then on the way home you get it again so you have it ready for the next day. Yeah.
And what about your father? What type of a person was he?
He was also a very nice person, and I can never really say that he was really strict or always, really scolded her.
What were their professions? What did they do for a living?
My mother was, at threshing time, she was a cook, and remember how they had these big cook carts for all the threshing? I know you don't remember, but...
I do know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, and that was her job then. That's, I think, how she met my dad, because she and her sister did that. Where was that picture? Where they're both... see, these are two sisters married two brothers. There. And that's what they were doing at that time. Like.
So, what did your father do?
Well, he was a farmer, but then he started this business of selling cars and trucks and any kind of stuff, machinery, and what's called Frehlich's garage.
Okay. And are any of these ones?
Well, these are mostly, like my mother and dad, and that little one taken out in front of the house, and
Okay.
not. And this one you saw.
That's the church. That's right. Okay.
These are the Hoffarts.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the father, and that's all their children there. There's one living yet, this nun, and she is 90 years old.
Start in the back row and tell me who do we have here.
Pardon?
Start in the back row and tell me who
Oh.
we have here.
Their names?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, Frank, I might need to. That's Johnny, Alphonse, Bernard, Stanley, August, Helen, and this one is Sister Helen. That's Grandfather Bernard, Sister Bernadette, and Margaret.
When you two got married, were you welcomed into the Hoffart family?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we even lived there for about a few months before Frank went to take his mechanics course up at PA in Talbot. And then we moved up there.
What was that like, moving into a new family for you?
Well, I knew them well enough already, you know. Yeah, so it wasn't that hard.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to go through all these pictures. Oh, this one here. This is, that's Frank's dad, Bernard.
What was his name?
Bernard.
Okay.
And this is Frank. Wait. No. Was your grandpa's name was Bernard too, wasn't it? Okay. And this is also Bernard.
Okay, so that's, the first one is this is his grandfather.
Yeah, the grandfather, then the father.
Okay.
And then this is Frank. And that's our son, so that's a
Four generations.
four generation there.
And what's your son's name?
Jerome. And this is another four generation. That's Frank's dad, Bernard, Frank, Jerome, and their little boy, Jeremy. Another four generation. It's surprising that I got all these pictures together. That there is one of our wedding picture, and this here.
Okay, so we don't want that. So tell us, while we have this open, tell us a little bit about what your wedding was like.
Well, you went to church at 10 in the morning, and you got married, and then you went home to your parents' house, and you had lunch for lots of people, and then you went to Wilkie to get your pictures taken, and then you had supper, and then there was a dance in the school. Yeah, it was the whole deal. Well, these are all of my brothers, and these are our children's baby pictures. This is Janet, Audrey, Jerome, and Rosemary.
So you had 4 kids?
Yeah. These are godchildren. That's pretty well. Oh, here, this is Frank's picture in the Army.
Okay. How old was he when he went to the Army?
18.
Okay.
That year, when after the war was over, there was a wedding every day. And in 1946, like, a wedding every day. This is my sister. Like, we haven't got a picture of her because she wasn't on that family picture. And these are her 5 boys and 5 girls. This is an old family picture of ours. Kids were little yet. think we pretty well hit the Frank and walking down the street and was in the Army.
See that one. Is this in the U.S. or is it in a different...
This was taken in Vancouver? Yeah.
Vancouver? Vancouver, British Columbia, right?
Yeah.
Let me see.
And these are just when we went to the lake in the summer, boating, and these are some old grandparents.
Oh, your grandparents?
No, not mine. Frank's. These
Oh.
on his mother's side and on the Hoffart side.
Oh, let's get those real quick.
These would be the Zons, no? Yeah.
What was the grandmother's name?
No, I don't know what they're.
Okay. Z-A-H-N?
Z-O-H-N. Z-O-H-A-N. A-H.
A-H?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
And
And
then-
this was, what was Granny Hoffart's name, first name?
Anna Mary?
I think so. And then Bernard again. They were stuck on that name.
Didn't continue on, though.
No, you put an end to it.
Okay.
Those are very old pictures. Oh, this is our son when he took Taekwondo. And that's his little guy. He had him taught to try, to do it too.
How cute.
He would try hard. And they both did it for, quite a number of years. And these are just some of the grandchildren.
The pride and joys of the family.
Yeah. These two were 2 weeks apart. So they were quite a... Yeah, that should be that. All I have here, just of these,
Okay.
is my mother and dad and John and Sister Beatrice. You had those two
The
little...
two little ones.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to take a
And that
digital
was
of this one.
our 50th. taken.
This is your 50th?
Yeah.
When did you celebrate your 50th?
10 years ago, so we had it in September instead of October. So that part wouldn't matter.
What did you do for your 50th anniversary?
All the kids had, it started with a come and go at church, and then we had a mass up in the church, then we had a banquet, and they had a bit of entertainment amongst themselves, the kids they had planned. Yeah. And this one is of Frank when he won his gold medal from golfing. Now this year he wants to go again next week up to Battleford and try again to get in there because now he's a legend. Once you're past 75, you qualify as a legend. so
How does it feel being a legend?
that's pretty well all that I have here.